We're back. Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Foxtel Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stocks, and this is another segment of our top 3 option plays this week where we're just going to go over a few different trades, stock fundamentals, and different strategies that you can do to make it through, okay? Now, no recap from last week. I'm just coming off of my birthday break. So let's see what the market is talking about going into next week. Okay, so the first stock or ETF is SPY, and that's the S&P 500 ETF. And right now it's trading at $385.13. The last time that we talked, a lot of the conversation was about inflation being the highest it has been in over 40 years, the Federal Reserve interest rate hikes, the pandemic, the war overseas, and the fear of possibly being in a recession or on the verge of entering one. So market analysis classify where we are right now as a definite bear market. But looking at the weekly chart, nobody was thinking about a recession last week after we had our released consumer price index and other data from the Census Bureau that showed the US retail sales actually grew more than the anticipated 0.9% increase that Bloomberg analysts projected for June. Now, putting all this together with this week's data on the US job market, which is not showing any signs of slowing down, analysts are interpreting this as investors feeling confident that the economy is still growing. So that higher spending shows that shoppers aren't finished yet, okay? They're not slowing down even with higher inflation. And that's a good reason why the stock market was bullish this week. But with all this spending is not the outcome that the Federal Reserve is really looking for, okay? A stronger economy makes it more likely that the Federal Reserve is actually going to continue raising their interest rates, trying to bring inflation down, okay? So the question we had last time, have we reached that bottom, or has this just been a short-term bullish move up in a strong long-term bear market? Okay, so who has control right now, bulls or bears? We can find the answer by looking at the charts. On the weekly chart here, this last candlestick though, it's a little bit, it's giving me a doji candle, okay? So it's showing a little bit of uncertainty, but overall we are still in a downtrend, okay? So is that just a short-term pull up in price? So I'm still going to be bearish on SPY, but the question is, when would you want to look towards an entry point? Moving it a little bit closer, you can definitely see that movement on the daily chart. We have moved up to our 50-period moving average. Even just looking on the daily chart, RSI at 50, I'm still going to be bearish. Now for me, if I was going to anticipate a continuation in this long-term downtrend, would be around $381, $382. And you can see we are kind of trading in a zone here. So boom, 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 boom. Where are we going next? Okay. So is it going to continue in that trend in this little zone that we've been trading with the target at least around 370? But if we have strong volume going into next week, if it does continue to move downward, then we could see it move down to, you know, that 360. So that's that for SPY. Okay, so for SPY, I'll have 2 things. A lot of times with these indexes, I like to do spreads. Make sure that you're in the vertical, and this is going to be a bearish move, so it's going to be the call credit spread, okay? Now the question here is going to be for the expiration date. So we can use a closer expiration date that's going to be a little bit more risky, or we can use a further expiration date that's going to be, you know, further out but less risk. So let's look at the risky one first. So on this one, we'll have a closer expiration date, so it's going to be around July 20th. We're going to sell the 390 and we're going to buy the 391, okay? Now this is going to be a credit, and the most that we can receive for this one right now has a really close bidder ask, so it's probably going to be around $20. This is the more risky one. You'll see here that our max loss is going to be $72. So this ratio is a little bit wide. It's going to be short term. So if SPY continues in that long-term downtrend next week after we had economy data come out last week, then we'll see what happens with that. So that's the risky one. Now let's go to the less risky. We're gonna move our expiration date out to August. So we're gonna go for August the 10th. So we're going to sell the 397 and we're gonna buy the 398. Now you see here we still have a tight bid and ask for this, and we have somewhat of a better risk. Okay, so max profit $34, max loss 66. But if you just wanted to do a long call or put and you're bearish, we'll go for the puts, and I'll still be in August, but I'll go for the August 19th expiration date. Make sure that you go back to the singles, and we can look at the 346 strike price for the puts. Okay, so you see here we have acute premium about 1.79, strong volume in the 2,000, 6,000 open interest. And the only thing about it is our delta. Our delta is a little bit low at 0.10, so we're not going to see a lot of profits on this. So this is just a long position that you can get into for SPY going into next week if it continues in that bearish trend. If it doesn't reach that entry target, do not enter the trade. And the next stock is NVDA. That's NVIDIA, and right now it's trading at $157.62. Okay, and shout out to T'Challa888, aka Tanya, from our options trading group. Okay, so she hit me up yesterday and requested this stock, and after doing some analysis, I figured that we should talk about it on the top 3. So thank you for that, Tanya. Even with the positive movement of the stock market last week, there were analyst price target cuts on Nvidia, Meta Platforms or Facebook, and Amazon. Tech stocks have been struggling with the negative economic news, and we know that these larger companies are going to be affected by the higher interest rate increases. So bearing analyst Tristan Guerra dropped the price target for Nvidia from $165 down to $150 but he still kept a neutral rating on the stock. So right now Nvidia, their monthly sales are below seasonal levels short term, but long term this is a great stock with positive outlook. But we're talking about what's going on next week. So looking at the chart, it looks similar to SPY, and we are in a strong downtrend, but we've had a move up to this moving average here, my EMA line. So we could still see possible movement up to 169. So it may not be done with that short-term move up, but long-term, I will be looking for bearish position. Now going into next week, if I was going to anticipate a bearish move on Nvidia, I would have my entry around 154. Okay, so that would be slightly below this candle close that we had on last week, but honestly, something better would probably be around 150, but seeing 154 would be okay. You know, our RSI is looking a little bit high here in a downtrend. It's about 50. Okay, and we've peaked here before. We're just going into this downtrending pattern. We'll see what happens with Nvidia going into next week. Okay, so for Nvidia, I'm going to be looking at the puts. And we can go to, and we're looking at the July 22nd put, so this is going to be next week. So it's maybe more so a day trade. We're going to look at the $150 puts here, okay? So you can see we have a pretty cute premium, 1.65, huge volume at 7,000, decent open interest. The only thing is the delta is okay at 0.24, so $24 profit per price, per dollar increase or decrease with Nvidia, but the theta is a little bit high. It's 0.26. So this is definitely something that we're probably just going to hold maybe for a day or so. But that would be a good move for Nvidia going into next week. And the last stock is C. This is Citigroup, trading at $48.98. So the entire financial sector was on fire last week, and that caused a lot of movement in the stock market. I usually don't like to trade long option positions like just regular calls and puts during earnings. Somebody called out their Citigroup play in the Discord on Friday, so I went ahead and I jumped in there. You know, I got a cute little profit. I think it was maybe 30%. So thank you for that. Shouts out to the Discord group. And if you haven't joined yet, make sure that you scroll down below and join my options trading Discord group. We're in earnings season, so a lot of companies are going to be announcing their second quarterly numbers. Some bank and travel stocks reported weaker earnings than expected last week, so that signals we might be in for more downside in the near future. But Citigroup, they had pretty decent earnings, as you can see on the chart here, that the stock actually jumped 13% on Friday. We're gonna have more reports out from Goldman Sachs Group, Tesla, and Netflix. Okay, so we're gonna see how the labor market is holding up. But just looking at this stock chart, we're still in that downtrend. We did move up to our, so for me, if I was gonna have a bearish entry going into next week, I'm gonna have it probably around this 47, and seeing a candle close, this is on the daily chart, but seeing a candle close below that 47, we are going to have crossed below our exponential moving averages. All right, so next week going into Citigroup, still going to be bearish, but this one we're going to move out a little bit. I'm going to be looking at the August 19th expiration date, and on this one we're going to be looking at the $45 put here. Okay, this is a great one. This is actually probably going to go in our small trading account. So you'll see here our premium is probably about 0.75. Huge open interest, 15,000. Huge volume, 9,000 traded on Friday. And look at this, delta 0.20, look at that theta, 0.02. Okay, now this is going to be something that we can hold on to if Citigroup continues in that long-term downtrend with the earnings. Okay, so let's see what happens. Has the market reached that bottom? I don't know. Okay. All right, so that's going to be it for this week's top 3. But if you're needing an easy system to help you pick out which options to trade, because I know that this long list can be overwhelming, make sure that you check out this video where we're going to go over a few different methods to pick the best option contracts for your account. Okay, not what him and her are trading over there. Okay, this is going to be especially for you and your portfolio. Okay, so make sure you check out that pressure, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Okay, all right.